Alright, let's do it. Bobblehead dolls and sex toys, questionable bags of cocaine, nerdy girls with big racks, and oh yeah, baseball. My brother's bachelor party is in the books, and what a weekend it was. Chop up a fat line and get yourself hype. A fresh episode of the Savage Sack Tap starts right now.
You're listening to the Savage Sack Tap. It's not a podcast, it's not a half-cast, it's just a quick shot to the balls to help you finish off the week. We're cutting through the bullshit, filling your Friday with rage-fueled logic, and cracking a few jokes along the way. So grab a bag of frozen peas. There's a Savage Sack Tap coming your way.
Smooth, lascivious, salacious, outrageous.
Shit, we got a frosted ass crack. Hey Finch, you want this for here or to go?
A witty saying proves nothing, Voltaire.
Suck my dick, Ron Jeremy.
Oh boy.
I have no idea why that wasn't feeding into the board, but I will address that shit later. In any case, I'm assuming you guys fucking heard it out there on the live stream. But yeah, I do love a good bachelor party. It was if I can't figure out how to get that pumped into the board, that was Steve Stifler in American Wedding telling Paul Finch to suck his ass. I fucking love the American Pie movies. I also do love a good bachelor party. Savage Sack Tap, Mike Montone, how the fuck are we doing? Yes, indeed. I did have my little brother's bachelor party this past weekend. The twink will be marrying the ginger coming up in next literally a week from tomorrow. Yeah, if you're watching this on the live stream, little Joey gets married to little Jeannie a week from mañana. I get to go down to Flow Ride and hang out with the alligators and do methamphetamine. I can't fucking wait. I've been looking forward to this momentous day for quite some time. The entire family has, but yeah, we took the boy out on the town, New York City, the Big Apple, for oh, that would explain. Am I no shit. Well, there we go. If you'll give me just a moment, I now know why the audio wasn't feeding in, because I'm a dumb motherfucker, and I am running the wrong input on this. So 1 second. If you are listening to the audio feed, I apologize for the shitty quality of the first couple minutes here. Just give me a sec. In the morning, Sometimes you're a tad groggy, and you fuck up the input thing. So now, if you are listening on the audio feed or to the audio version of this, you will get better audio quality the rest of the day than you had. I was wondering why the fuck the Stifler audio wasn't feeding in, and now I know. Don't I feel like a horse's patoot? Yeah, so like I said, we took the boy out to a few hot spots around New York City over the weekend. We had dinner at Fogo de Chao, is the Brazilian steakhouse in Midtown. And if you're a meat guy, you got to go to Fogo. They just come around with just big piping hot slabs of meat, and they cut it off right on your tray, and then they give you they have a huge fucking salad bar with far more than salad. There's like salmon and all sorts of fucking antipasto and shit. It's you got to do it. It'll run you over 100 for one person for the night, but definitely work it. They got a nice top shelf bar, all that bullshit. But this is not a dinner show. We're not here to talk about. We're not here to talk about dinner. We're here to talk about the fat chick who got mad at us on the subway on the way from Fogo down to the Village Underground. We went to a comedy show after dinner, and we're riding the subway down, and I guess a homeless guy had asked one of my brother's friends for a cigarette, and I don't know, he didn't have one or some shit. Maybe he did have one, I don't know, but he got really there was about 5 of us, and most of us were like, "Hey, man, sorry, I don't have a cigarette." This other individual, who I will refer to as, let's just call him Crawfish, yelled at the gentleman, and then doused another guy on the train with bottled water, prompting a fat chick sitting next to him. And she looked like, not that I engage in any kind of profiling, but if I were the type to engage in any kind of profiling, I would say this was the type of fat chick who has a hashtag I'm with her pin, or a hashtag votes for women pin, and runs some sort of Tumblr account, probably keeps her gender pronouns in her Twitter profile page. I think you know exactly the type of fat chick I'm talking about. The Brooklyn Tubolard is the, I believe, scientific name for them. But she looks, and we were, again, the gentleman Crawfish in our party who doused the guy with water. I don't know if it was accidental or on purpose. I mean, he was pretty fucking wasted, so it might have been an accident, but it also might have been on purpose. I was pretty fucked up too, so my frame of reference is completely shot. I'm not even a reliable source for any of this, and I was there. But we were several feet away from the action, not even really paying much more than peripheral attention, and Fatty calls us a bunch of dicks, which I took umbrage with that, because I understand how the behavior would be viewed as dickish, right? You know, screaming at someone for asking you for a cigarette and then pouring water all over somebody are indeed objectively dickish acts. But the thing is, only one person that was in our group did all of that. They acted alone. So it's not dicks plural. It's just dick. And when I pointed out her grammatical error, she was none too pleased, and that she doubled down and said, "That's why you're all dicks." And I said, "Well, that's bullshit." And then she called me. For a person who probably fancies themselves progressive, she did mock my physical appearance. She called me Left Eye, which I have to give it to her. You gotta, I mean, hey, look, hey, if you go toe to toe with a guy with a fucked up eye, you gotta go for sometimes you gotta go for that low hanging fruit. But yeah, I'm sure that we became the subject of a Tumblr blog or a Tumblr essay shortly thereafter, and probably the cause of some very emotional eating as well. No, it's not nice to fat shame, Michael. Don't do that. Don't do that. But yeah, what a delightful weekend it was. Saturday we got up, went to hometown, did some hometown drinking before heading out to Citi Field for the Mets game. And as such events are sort of prone to, we got into a little bit of bawdy talk on the LIRR out there, and it turns out I'm apparently in the entire group, I'm like, we had 17 guys. I'm the only sex toy guy. Is that? If you're out there and you're a sex toy guy, can you fucking fire away in the comments, because I was blown away by how many members of our party were a stranger to the use of sex toys during romantic encounters. I personally, it's pretty much I draw the line at things that will go in my ass. That is not a frontier. I am not Lewis and Clark. I don't have that adventurous spirit in me, but otherwise, fucking cock rings, vibrators, the jackrabbit, it has it's multi-pronged. You can use it on I believe the Hitachi wand. There were guys there at the party. I was explaining what the Hitachi wand is, and if you've ever been to like Sharper Image or wherever, even CVS, they sell them. The Hitachi wand is the big. They make a mini one that a lot of people like because it's less intimidating. It's only like this big. But the original Hitachi wand is it's probably about the size of my arm, and it's got that big like wobbler on the back, and they sell it as a back massager at Sharper Image because it looks like you use it to rub your back. what people don't realize is that that was actually a vibrator that was invented for women's vaginas. The reason it's marketed as a back massager is that in the old days it was very hard to market sex toys as anything other than medical device. You had to sell them as a medical device to avoid like pornography and obscenity laws in the old days. So that's why a lot of people actually believe that that is a back massager. It was the loophole that they would use. But I brought that up. I was like, yeah, the fucking chicks love the Hitachi wand. Someone said, what's the Hitachi wand? I said, it's the big. You've seen it at at Sharper Image or in catalogs, magazines. I think they fucking sell it in like that in-flight. What's that, like duty-free magazine you get on the airplane? But yeah, the Hitachi wand is not a back massager. That thing was made to pummel your fucking pussy with. Like, that is what it's for. So if your mom has one, she's not using it on her back. If you find that in your parents' closet, there's a reason that it was tucked away. But yeah, so I'll leave it at this because I don't want to get into. I can't like say what each person said because that would give away too much information. But I will say this: ass eating and sex toys. In polite conversation, a lot of chicks may recoil at the very mention of either of those things. In the privacy of the boudoir, the bedroom, when the lights go out, I have not met a chick who didn't at least kind of enjoy. They go fucking yeah. I'm not even gonna be coy about this. They will go fucking wild. They're a tongue up the ass and a fucking vibrator on the clit will drive most chicks through the fucking roof. They again may not admit to it in polite conversation, but I have yet to come across one who when met with those physical realities did not find them both to be absolutely delightful. With consent, of course, but that should go without say. This is the Savage Sack Tap, a show that champions consent. Yeah, so we went to City Field. We got shitty at City, as they say, and I happened to have the good fortune to find a vape pen with appears to be about like a 90 milligram cartridge. I think is that the size they use of a very delightful sativa just on the bathroom floor at City Field. So yeah, and it was full. Like it was a full fucking cartridge. I still have it. That thing's gonna last me for a couple weeks. So huge score. And I assume it's totally fine to put to your lips something that you found on the ground in a bathroom at City Field, right? There's no risk there, is there? I certainly hope not. But no, it. I mean, I saw it and I was like, the right thing to do would be to find its rightful owner. But then I was like, there are tens of thousands of people here. Well, like, what am I gonna fucking? I'm gonna start tapping people on the shoulder. Hey, did you lose your vape pen? Or am I gonna go to the Lost and Found? Like, hey, come down to the Lost and Found if you lost your drugs. No, neither. Couldn't do either of those. So I said, you know what? By the finders keepers law of America, this is now mine. And it certainly would not be a bachelor party without a hefty amount of stimulants. Which I decided, apropos, because we were going to the Mets game, so I decided to do a little trick that I learned from listening to Lenny Dykstra when he was interviewed on the Anthony Cumia show. He said that what he would do was you take the amphetamine during the day, and then when that starts to peter off at night, that's when you start to layer on the cocaine, and it all goes... he also suggested taking a Xanax at the end to bring it all down. I know I have some, but I don't know where the fuck it is, which probably would have been a good idea because I was in fucking pain the next day. But yeah, we were riding in an Uber on the way home in New York City at night. The Manhattan skyline off in the distance, going from Queens to Manhattan, doing doing blow in the back of an Uber with the fucking 80s jams rocking. You got the touch. You got the power. When all hell's breaking loose, you'll be right in the eye of the storm. Stan Bush, you've got the touch. If you don't know who that is, but yeah. So I go and I do a big hefty bump there, and I'm willing to wager that not that there weren't some stimulating effects to whatever the fuck it was I put up my nose, but that shit was way more lidocaine than it was cocaine. And for those who are not in the drug doing business, cocaine is it numbs you. So when you do it, if you do very good cocaine, there will often be a little bit of a numbing effect. It won't be overwhelming, but there will be a little bit of a numbing effect inside your mouth and your nose. This shit was like someone had taken lidocaine, which is a common cutting agent in cocaine, because it creates numbness. People rub it. If you get a sunburn and you get like an aloe, they'll usually mix a little bit of lidocaine in with the aloe to take the ease off the sunburn. But a lot of drug dealers also mix lidocaine in with their coke, because it confuses people into thinking that they have really good coke because they get numb from it. But not numb to the point where it's 2 hours later and you're at a bar and you still can't feel your face. If I wasn't well aware of what probably I was dealing with, I would have been freaking out. But I was like, oh shit, yeah, this is all just fucking lidocaine. Oh Jesus. But yeah, so that oh well, live and learn. Those are the risks we run when there is when drugs are illegal. This is what happens when you turn to a black market. So this is my numb face is a perfectly good argument for legalized cocaine. The Mets did lose, as they have been wont to do from time to time, but we did have one small victory. It was Noah Syndergaard Game of Thrones bobblehead night, and whenever it's a bobblehead night at Citi Field, I love the Mets. I love Mets fans. I love going out to Citi Field. The atmosphere there is amazing. It's a big huge party. It fucking rules. It's the best. Citi Field is the fucking bomb. But on these fucking bobblehead days, it gets ridiculous. It's adults, grown fucking men lines wrapped around the stadium, like the stadium is being get crushed to death by a boa constrictor, an anaconda. Except the anaconda is not made of reptile scale. It's made of overweight grown men who want to get a doll, a caricature doll of like a 22-year-old athlete. And it's, although I don't know how old Thor is. I'm assuming he's probably getting closer to 30. But it's just such a bizarre behavior to me that you would waste precious life moments, this limited amount of time we have on the planet, trying to get your hands on a fucking bobblehead doll. But quite hilariously, one of the members in our party noticed that a sort of annoying, uppity, twinkish couple had left theirs under some seats, and he very discreetly used his. You can't see it under the table. I'm discreetly moving my foot as though I'm going to signal someone in the next bathroom stall, appropriately. But he used his foot to kind of nudge it along and away, and hiding it in plain sight in front of this like furious, frazzled, twinkish couple at the end of the game. They're going fucking crazy looking for it. They've got their backpack. One of them had their glove in their backpack. Like, they were grown men who brought a fucking glove to the baseball game. So it was just one of those moments where you're like, you know what, maybe this isn't a very nice thing to do, to steal their bobblehead doll. But then you're like, oh wait, it's just a fucking bobblehead doll. They have two, and by the way, it's hilarious. You're a grown man who there's 2 strikes against you. you brought a glove to a baseball game, and you waited in line for hours for a fucking bobblehead doll. And now strike 3 is you're going ballistic looking for said bobblehead doll, even though you and your partner already have one. So yeah, strike 3, you're out. It's now funny. And so our friend now has himself a mint condition Noah Syndergaard Game of Thrones bobblehead doll, much to the chagrin of the two twinks who were sitting in front of us. And then we wrapped up the evening at it's called A Bar down on the Lower East Side, which was a very cool place. A lot of douchebags though, which you get in Manhattan. So I took it upon myself. We had lunch that day at our hometown pizza place, so I was drinking beer, eating pizza all day. I was blasting some serious gas. So I would just, I get bored. I get very bored at bars sometimes. So I made it a point to just kind of go around and do some aggressive crop dusting and farting on strangers, which I absolutely love. They had a pool table in the back too, and so I kind of got to close out the evening just watching this nerdy girl, and I can tell she was nerdy because she had horn-rimmed glasses on. But she had just a big fat rack. She was a little bit thick, and not like fit thick. Like, she was definitely, if she doesn't watch it in 10 years, she's gonna be a fucking disaster. But like as she was right now, just like a plump little Miss Piggy with these like fat hanging titties, and every time she'd lean down to take a shot, you'd get like just a beautiful view of just nice white fat thick mammaries. Good times. But not a good time was my Sunday morning, because let me tell you something. The combination of Adderall, blow, booze, and bros will equal a hungover fucking Sunday. But thankfully, Game of Thrones and Seamless came to the rescue, because, as you know, I am basic as fuck. I think I got out of bed at 10 a.m., walked over to the couch, sipped some chamomile, fucking ordered Seamless, and stayed on the couch until 10 p.m., at which point I relocated to my bed. I was a fucking train wreck, but I was happy to... Game of Thrones, I thoroughly... Get the cock out of my mouth. I'm stumbling through the morning. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but there were a lot of people not happy about the Battle of Winterfell, and some it will be because of the way the plot worked out. They didn't think there was enough going on, whatever. Some didn't like the way it was shot, but then there were a very particular group of people on Twitter, and this gentleman, Adam Serwer, sums it up quite well. I have his tweet here. The handling of the Dothraki and Unsullied last night reminded me of why I hope the Game of Thrones producers never get around to actually making Confederate. And if you don't know what Confederate is supposed to be, a movie or a series, I believe, about if the South won the Civil War, what it would be like. That's what the show Confederate's supposed to be. So this gentleman is saying that the Dothraki and the Unsullied were both slaughtered during the Battle of Winterfell, and I do not fucking care if I'm spoiling that for you, because it's Thursday now. You've had time to watch the Sunday night show. What people on Twitter are saying is that it's racist, because the Dothraki are kind of supposed to be Middle Eastern, and the Unsullied are most of them like black. They're calling them the people of color. People are mad that the people of color in Game of Thrones were sort of wiped out en masse during this battle, and one of the big problems that they have, because it's 2019, everything is being read through the lens of how can we make this appear racist. One of the big problems that they had is that the Dothraki were killed in the first moments of battle. They were sent out screaming into the night to take on the White Walkers, and then came back slaughtered.
people are saying that's racist because they were tactically misused. You would use your cavalry in a different manner, which we could debate medieval battle tactics, especially magical medieval fantasy world battle tactics all day. But I think no one was like, hey, first of all, people love the Dothraki. I mean, do you remember the early seasons of Game of Thrones? And this is part of the problem, is that a lot of people are kind of bandwagon Game of Thrones fans, so they don't really think back to the early seasons because they just binged everything. But if you watched the early seasons before binging was like a really big thing, and people were still kind of watching just on Sunday night or watching one at a time, you remember that the Dothraki were insanely popular when they were first introduced during that season where they had their kind of the beginning of their arc. So they've always been they've kind of been revered on the show. And one of the other things that's always been said about the Dothraki is that they're the most fearsome warriors in all of this land of Game of Thrones, and no one can beat them in an open field. In open combat, no one can beat the Dothraki, right? So in theory, you may, if you were writing a show and you had a huge open field and a battle of this much importance, you may say, hey, what is the most sort of dramatic way we can begin this thing? And that might be, if you were, again, writing a show and not putting together, fucking a book on mystical, medieval, fucking fake tactics, you might say, well, then to show how terrifying the enemy that these guys are about to face is, let's take our most feared warriors, the Dothraki, and send them screaming into the night with flaming swords to kick this thing off, believing that, hey, the Dothraki will strike the first blow and things are going to go well, and then, oh shit, they just get fucking wiped. Now we know how terrifying the White Walkers really are, right? Because there had always been rumor of their badass credentials and how awful they are. They're just an army of the dead. They're overrunning everyone. But I think the White Walkers destroying the Dothraki right off the bat, from just a storytelling perspective, it gives you an oh shit feeling before the battle even reaches the gates of Winterfell. So I don't. It's confusing to me. Well, it's not confusing because, again, it's an intentional viewing of the scene through the lens of racism, right? It's just, you're going out of your way to find it. And again, as for the Unsullied were, it appears, again, smashed. They were defending the retreat back inside the castle. Again, that is their fucking story arc. Like, that is what the Unsullied are known for. They're known for valor and discipline and dedication to mission accomplishment. If anyone would stand and fight while others are falling back, because you have to cover a retreat. You can't just turn around and run. You need to retreat tactically. You would use the Unsullied to protect that retreat. That is who you want to do it. Again, if we're talking about taking on this horrifying horde, and your two best chances to beat them are the Dothraki and the Unsullied, then it would, at least from a storytelling perspective, there's something to it when that horde defeats your best guys. And so you think, from a storytelling perspective, how can we make it? How can we fit that in? How do we work it into the plot? I get how they're like, all right, that this is where we would use that. Again, it's not a racism. No one fucking offed the Unsullied because they're a bunch of brown guys. Their death is, again, it's an homage to their warrior skill. That is, they go out in that blaze of glory. If you're an Unsullied, that is the ultimate death, is to die doing your job, to covering the retreat, to providing for mission accomplishment, which it led to the ultimate mission accomplishment, right? Because Arya comes up big, which is another fucking point of contention on the internet. I have another jackass tweeting here about Game of Thrones. Let me pull her fucking thing up. Charlotte Clymer. You can tell she's a well-adjusted woman because next to her name on Twitter, she has a blue check mark and the LGBTQ rainbow flag. So that's how you know this bitch is legit. She says, "I'd be more surprised that fragile dude bros are calling Arya Stark a Mary Sue after she spent the entire series training to be an assassin, but I was also witness to the most qualified presidential candidate in history being told she's not good enough. And here we are." Okay, so this is great. First of all, the election was in fucking 2016, toots. Get over yourself. Secondly, this thing about Hillary Clinton being the most qualified presidential candidate in history, I don't even know if that's factually accurate. Like, fucking, we've had some qualified motherfuckers hold the office of president. So I'm not going to go down that. I'm not going to relitigate 45 fucking, presidents worth of U.S. history. But if Hillary Clinton was really the most qualified, then you'd think she would have had the brains to make a fucking stop or two in Wisconsin. Just, as they say on the internet, just saying. But that's not really what this is about. This is about Arya, after she kills the fucking Night King, being accused of being a Mary Sue. And what a Mary Sue is a female character who does something that is improbable, something they wouldn't be able to do. And I guess what happened from doing a deeper read into this is that, like, one guy called her a Mary Sue, and then, like, a small handful of others agreed. The overwhelming response from people was that she is not a Mary Sue, because if you followed the show, Arya has spent her entire story arc has been her becoming this stealthy badass assassin. So I don't think there was this. It seems like this is actually a huge, just a sexist straw man almost, that she just kind of pulled up. Most people, Arya's again one of the most beloved characters on the show, especially amongst dudes. That's one of the things we like the most about Arya, is that not only is she a chick, but she's also like a badass chick. Like, guys like chicks who are a little bit fucking gangster. I don't know if feminists know that. We like that. We don't like fucking cranky, uppity cunts like this Charlotte Clymer here, but we do like chicks with a little bit of attitude and some skill that can kind of handle themselves. Yeah, dudes love that fucking shit. So it's very, very weird. Arya is a great dialogue, great action scenes, and then a couple weeks ago she fucked. So a multi-tool player, a fan favorite. Again, I think an absolute a sexist straw man. I do think the one complaint I had about Arya killing the Night King, and again, this isn't a fucking Game of Thrones recap show, so I will get very quick through this very quickly, was that it was a very quick death. Like, she fucking it took her a while to get to him. She had to crawl around under some tables and escape some White Walkers, blah blah blah. But she pretty much just jumped out of nowhere after he killed Theon, and the Night King catches her, and then she stabs him with the dragon glass. But I think what people would have preferred is, because she'd been always using needle and kind of like jousting and dancing and stuff like that. I think people would have preferred to see her maybe like show off some of the moves. Remember, she was trained by a Bravosi. She was taught to be a water bug, to move lightly and never drop her sword. I think we would have. Well, I guess there is a little bit of that because she drops the dragon glass and then catches it again. So that sort of a callback to when she was taught never to drop her sword. But I feel like it would have been cool if she had a dragon glass version of needle or something like that, and she could have stabbed him with it. So something along those lines. I think the one complaint people might have had about that, so they would have liked a little bit more. It was a little bit anticlimactic to just have it be that quick. That is what I would say. But yeah, the Night King did not have a very good Sunday, and let me tell you something. You know who did not have a very good Tuesday are these protesters down in Venezuela. Apparently the fucking country is falling apart because it's just weird because they have socialism there, and I've been told that socialism turns everything into a delightful Northern European utopia. I guess that's not the case because right now I am watching footage of a Venezuelan military vehicle just fucking mow down a bunch of protesters. I mean, very fine people on both sides, I guess. This is fucking... Like, it drove over a curb and through the fucking crowd. Is it coming back for more? Holy shit. And it's partially on fire, too, it looks like. Is it? No. Oh, yeah, it is. They're dousing it with water. This is fucking insane. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's what we want, let's bring some of that to the country. And again, this is not meant to be a diatribe about socialism versus capitalism. This is not that kind of fucking show. But it is a show where I talk about how much I love a good third world coup. I think, was it the last episode we were talking about Sudan and Africa, and how every time they have one of these, it ends with, like, some fucking general with a bunch of unearned ribbons and medals on his chest, kind of just naming himself king for life, and then giving himself, like, an absurd fucking long name, like, the warrior who conquered all of the lands, and the beasts and fish in all of the water, and who will rule until time ends. Like, they always give themselves those badass names when African countries get overthrown. South America, I feel like, South and Central America, also very popular places for a good government overthrowing. It's South America, maybe not as badass as Africa, but still a continent made for a good coup. You have mountains and rebels and AK-47s, and everyone's just running on fucking coke, whether they're snorting it or chewing the leaves or brewing tea. They're all just fucking hyped up out of their minds, and it's hot and it's steamy, and there's a lot of poverty and guys with beards and aviator shades, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of I really enjoy watching a good government overthrow going down on camera. So I'll be keeping an eye on this one, and at any exciting developments that come. If they take Maduro out into the street and string him up by his balls like Mussolini, I will be sure to provide coverage. Before we continue into the our news portion of the episode, I will also regale you with a little bit of a story. There almost was no show this week, or at least not a recorded show. I guess I could have still live streamed, but I was viewing some rather raunchy pornography the other day after work, and I had the volume up a tad high because I didn't think anyone was home. And then I heard my landlord walking around upstairs, so I had to fucking, I was gonna lower it, but I was like, this is, sometimes you get those videos where you have the volume all the way up, and even then you still can't fucking hear a word they're saying. But I had multiple tabs open, so one of them, was recorded, it must have been just recorded or uploaded at a low volume. The next one I get to, I hit the fucking play button, and this chick was a fucking screamer. So I'm like, oh shit, I don't need people to hear me fucking listening to watching some chick calm her fucking brains out. So I started hammering the mute button, at which point the computer, literally the second I start pressing the mute button, the computer just turns off. And I'm like, oh shit. Because the machine's been a little bit crashy lately, but usually that just means that I gotta clear out some of my old fucking audio recordings here, because these things take up a lot of space. But the computer turns off and it will not turn back on. Like, I press the power button and the light would flash and then go immediately off. So I Googled what that problem was, and people are like, oh yeah, your motherboard's fried, like, you can, take it in and get it checked out, but, you're probably fucked. And I'm like, fuck, like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna have to take this into your Best Buy and do it. So I'm like, just scrambling. Well, first I took out my tablet, my trusty tablet here, and masturbated to that, because you can't think when the poison's on your brain. You're not thinking shit. You're like, you gotta get it out before you can formulate a good attack plan for the crashy laptop. So I relieved myself, and then I went back to Googling crashed motherboard, because I'm like, I cannot take this to the fucking Geek Squad. Like, I was like, I had some fucking shit on up. I was watching some interesting shit. Just say the woman who was on the screen at the time was going to have a considerable amount of trouble walking after her shoot was over. And I did not need the Best Buy geeks getting a look at that. So I didn't want them knowing about my excessive jerk-off habits. So I was like, fuck. So they're like, to fix a busted motherboard, you have to open up your laptop. And I am the farthest thing from a computer tech on the planet. But I'm like, well, the worst case scenario here is I'm buying a new laptop. I may as well just do that anyway. So I start to try to unscrew it, and I can't get it open. I'm like, fuck. And then I look, and I realize that the entire time, the power strip that keeps this thing alive and running had been turned off. So victory. I pressed the button, the computer came back to life. Huge sigh of relief. And, not only would I not have to face the geeks at Best Buy with all of my perversion in hand, I wouldn't have to drop money on a repair or a new machine. I was just, those moments where you think something terrible has happened, and there's like this just brief intensity where you're just like, oh fuck, and then you realize that everything is actually okay and it was all in your head. That's what that was. Just relief washed over me in an awesome wave. So yes, thank God for that. A couple of some fun stuff coming up here. Coachella or cold sore Chella. Ooh, terrible. Fake influencers and herpes have been running wild in Southern California. Big fucking surprise, right? And what is up at Swarthmore? College cuckery unfolds in a most hilarious way. But first, if you are watching this, if you're listening to it, if you have come across it, however, please, tell your friends, family, anyone you know who happens to be a terrible person. Fill them in about the Savage Sack Tap. Share it, message it, whatever. You can find us Facebook.com/The Savage Crew, Twitter at Mike Montone, Instagram at Gary _Moyler, MOYLER, and the audio podcast, of course, lives at thesavagecrew.libsyn, LIBSYN.com. I'm just gonna refresh here, and we'll jump into this. I wasn't even gonna do this story, and then I read it yesterday, and I was like, oh, this is actually kind of funny. This chick's got a big fat ass, but it's how I faked going to Coachella for the Instagram photos And I just thought it was because I had talked so much about Fire Festival and all that it was like a fun little fucking goof on influencer culture. A social media influencer has copped to using a little magic to fake an entire trip to Coachella. And Coachella, of course, those not hip enough to know, is it used to be a music festival in Southern California, and now it's really just a place for assholes to kind of go and be seen dressed like douchebags, which is what this gets at. It's no one goes there to listen to music anymore. It is a music festival that is in no way a music festival. Instagram model Gabby Hanna came clean Monday about how a photo shoot seemingly at the Palm Springs, California festival grounds was part of a social media stunt. She has 3.8 million followers, and I guess she put up all of these pictures, and then she changed the captions afterwards to "Oops, I faked it all," and she says she didn't want to attend the music festival because it feels like a lot of work for something you're not enjoying, which, yeah, that's what I was saying. It's people are full of shit. They're not going, like I went to Ultra Music Festival in Miami, and I went to Electric Daisy Carnival, all those things, because I enjoy electronic music. It meant something to me to be able to go see all of those artists in one place and to, trip my balls off and fucking rock out in front of the stage in front of the Deadmau5. Like, that was a fucking blast for me because I love that music. These influencers and these social media people, they don't go because they enjoy these things. They go because it's a requirement for them to be seen somewhere. Because if they can hashtag something Coachella, it looks to all of their loser followers like they're living this awesome, exciting life. But she says it right here. Like, she's admitting that they're just working, these idiots. And I'm not calling the influencers idiots. Like, if you can get paid shitloads of money to take pictures pretending you're at a music festival and you're gonna just spend a couple bucks to do it on a fucking green screen, you do it because it's a fucking cake money. And if you can make cake money in this world, make the cake fucking money and then go off and do the things that financial freedom will afford you. She says the trip can take weeks of preparation and thousands of dollars. And she's like, I got the best of both worlds. She used Photoshop, and she just took pictures at her friend's house and put on, like, festival clothing and then just shopped herself in. She said she knows people who actually bring 2 outfits when they go to the show, so that it's because it's a 2-weekend show. So what they'll do is they'll go for, like, a couple hours. They'll take pictures in different outfits, and then they'll just share one bunch of pictures one weekend, and then the next batch the next weekend, so morons on social media who aren't scrutinizing the accounts whatsoever just think, oh wow, look at this, my favorite influencer has spent fucking 2 straight weekends at Coachella, which I don't even know who the fuck would want to do that, but yeah. She says she said she wants the prank to be a reminder that everything on social media might not be what it seems. People look at Instagram and social media and they think, wow, their life is impossibly perfect, she said. That body, that vacation, that car. So much of it's fake, and that's okay. Yeah, seriously. People who take social media, like, super fucking seriously are weird. And I know it's weird to say that on a social media show, but obviously I'm on here kind of mocking and poking fun at social media. I have to use the platform to get to an audience. But yeah, I don't I really do not understand, who is influenced by influencer culture. And again, there are accounts I follow that I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take that guy's advice or whatever because I read his article and the advice is good, or I read the podcast, or I listened to the podcast and the advice is good. But I can't imagine being like, oh yeah, I see he took a picture at Coachella. Now I will listen to what this motherfucker has to say. Like, that really evades me. I don't get that. And I guess the good thing is, if you are an influencer and you faked going to Coachella, your next picture probably won't feature a horrible cold sore. which, if you were at the show or at the festival, might be the case. This is 17 magazine. Did Coachella trigger this major herpes outbreak in California? Apparently, this is just the bullets. There was a record number of herpes cases reported between the 2 weekends of the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival. Online health service Herp Alert said last Thursday that it handled about 250,000, or 250 cases of herpes a day during the first 2 days of the festival. An official from the Riverside Department of Public Health told Billboard his agency hadn't seen any evidence of a spike in herpes cases. Yeah, here's the thing though. Yeah, I'm gonna call bullshit because herpes doesn't just fucking show up. It's like months later. This would be like if 3 months after Coachella there was a huge herpes outbreak in a population of I guess, yeah, amongst douchebags. But douchebags are so frequently exposed to herpes that it would be even, I think, hard to trace to Coachella. But you wouldn't, it's not like you would just be like, oh, I went to Coachella and now I have a cold sore. It must be because of Coachella, the day after, or it's like if you break out into a cold sore while you're at Coachella, it's not because there's a strain of herpes going around Coachella. It's because there was a strain of herpes going around wherever the fuck you were back in February. So apparently no cold sore outbreak or no herpes outbreak caused by Coachella. I'm sure plenty of cases of herpes traveling around because of Coachella, but they simply haven't been exposed or discovered yet. But what are you gonna fucking do? Okay. Okay, yeah, and this, I guess to close it all out, this one is, this is just a lot of fun. Swarthmore frats disband after revelation of rape addict. I almost said rape addict. A guy who's addicted to rape. So Swarthmore, for those who are unfamiliar, is a very, very liberal arts school in Pennsylvania. They were actually in my athletic conference in college, but it is such a like pussy liberal ass school that they don't even have a fucking football team. They disbanded their football program. That's how fucking gay they are. What if a fucking Swarthmore sucks? Two fraternities at Swarthmore College have disbanded after internal documents revealed racist, misogynistic, and homophobic behavior by former members, references to sexual assault, and a rape addict. Oh yeah, here we go. Swarthmore President Valerie Smith said Phi Psi and Delta Upsilon have agreed to disband and relinquish their houses at the 1,600-student liberal arts school in suburban Philadelphia after documents from 2013 to 2016 were released anonymously, let me get the cock out of my mouth, last month to two campus publications. Still, as a community, we have much healing to do, Smith said. We have heard heartbreaking stories from students who feel unwelcome to the point of wanting to transfer out of our community. Those stories have come from across the spectrum of our student body, from student protesters to fraternity members. Smith said the leaked documents, including the Phi Psi historical archives, reveal deeply disturbing, unacceptable behaviors and practices at the college, including racist, sexist, and homophobic comments, as well as graphic depictions of sexual encounters and references to Delta Upsilon's rape tunnel and rape attic. There is no evidence. This is a very important part of this, and if you're wondering why I've been reading into this, there is no evidence that any current students participated in the alleged behaviors. I guess they're going to do an internal investigation, but no evidence that anyone who is at the school now was involved in any of this. So the fraternities released statements, and they confirmed that their members unanimously decided to disband. Unanimously. They decided, all of them, every member of 2 fraternities decided to disband as a result of stuff that they were not involved in. Okay. I'm not taking that at face value for fucking shit. It feels like it was an offer was made, hey, disband or you're going to have some serious fucking problems on campus for the rest of your time here, and you're attending a very expensive school that is very difficult to transfer. These little liberal arts schools are a motherfucker to transfer in and out of because they all run their credits and stuff on different ways, and some of them don't it's all fucking stupid. My school was like that too because I looked into transferring to possibly play sports elsewhere. That is a story for a different day. Yeah, these schools are a motherfucker to transfer in and out of. So it was probably a note to you guys. Hey, if you fuck with us on this and you don't accept the offer to politely disband, then you are fucked. But let's take at face value the claim that these guys did this voluntarily, and let's look at their statements. Hey, do we have? I think they have Phi-Si's statement. Yeah, I can do this first and then. This is the statement from this one fucking cuck frat. The content of the documents released is unacceptable, and we understand the long-term impact of the documents on our fraternity's culture as a toxic element that cannot continue to exist on Swarthmore's campus. Perfect. Let's say that there really were legitimately racist documents where they're like, it says whatever, like, I hate dark people, whatever the fuck. That no one from your current fraternity was involved in. I can think of, right off the bat, a way that you could put a stop to racist fraternity behavior on your campus that doesn't involve disbanding. And this, as a member of the fraternity, you are in a great position to do this, is to simply not engage in racist behavior and still have your fraternity. I mean, wouldn't that be a great way forward? Hey guys, we're the fraternity that isn't racist. You hear about all those racists? Not in this fraternity, because we decided that that's bad. That would make perfect fucking sense to me. That is a very simple solution. We cannot in good conscience be members of an organization with such a painful history, the statement continued. Unfortunately, the wounds are too deep to repair, and the best course of action for all those involved is to disband the fraternity completely and give up the fraternity house. Yeah, they say the documents surfaced in April. This is amazing. So what the article here doesn't get into is that the demand from protesters at the school, the protesters demanded that the house be surrendered by the fraternity and turned into housing for there are no marginalized students on fucking Swarthmore's campus, by the way. No one there is marginalized. I've been to Swarthmore, Haverford, and fucking Bryn Mawr like the cuckiest fucking school. Bryn Mawr's an all fucking chick school, but like Swarthmore and fucking it's insane how cuck those campuses are. Like fucking I can't even describe it. Like it's almost like you're walking. If you've seen the movie PCU, these schools are carbon cutouts of PCU. It's just hairy, armpitted feminists and homosexuals and hippies and the most politically correct people in the world go to these schools. There was no one marginalizing anyone at these fucking colleges. But they got bullied into disbanding and turning over their house so that it could be given to... This is... I said this on Facebook the other day. These guys weren't even at school when this shit was apparently going on. This is old stuff that was found in an attic. I mean, what do you do? This is like if a guy chopped his cock off in a public square and held it in his arms and said, this is to make up for all men who have ever raped. I mean, that is, like, you know, if you found your grandfather's old Nazi uniform or something like that, I mean, you just in the attic, do you sell the house? What's the fucking... I'm so confused by this. I mean, this willing self-flagellation and desire to bend the knee. You did not do the thing that happened. This doesn't make fucking sense. It's stupid. It's silly. Quit fucking giving in to this kind of fucking insanity. It's only going to get worse. It is only everyone always says, you know, the pendulum is going to swing back. The pendulum is coming back like a fucking wrecking ball now, because we got guys like shooting up synagogues and mosques and shit because they're furious. You've made it so wrong to be just a regular straight white dude that now straight white dudes are the type that they were kind of not well adjusted, but they normally would have just hung out and lurked, you know, on the internet and jerked off a lot and fucking hung out in their parents' basement forever, are now turning into violent criminals because of insane shit like this. One student who took part in the protest told the New York Times that she was sexually assaulted by a member of Phi Psi when she was a freshman, and that the presence of the rape attic was not a secret on campus. She said she also told administrators about at least 20 times about locked rooms at fraternity houses. I don't know what the presence of... Every house has locked rooms. And this is another one of these things where it's like, yeah, give up rights to privacy, give up rights to speech, give up rights to everything because one cocksucker did something bad. And I don't even know... She was... The definition of sexual assault these days among college students, and especially at a place like fucking Swarthmore, is so fucking... There's such a wide breadth that I don't know if this guy, you know, maybe they were making out and he grabbed her fucking pussy and he was trying to finger her, and in her eyes that's sexual assault, or maybe it was a fucking straight up pin down or you know, date rape scenario. I have no clue. I cannot confirm or deny the veracity or validity of these claims, but yeah, I just fucking absolutely nuts that and I as a it's amazing how far we've fallen, because I as a red-blooded college male, if you had told me you wanted me to give up my house because prior to me living there something bad may have... A lot of this stuff wasn't even about the rape. It was about the shit that was written, the racist and misogynist stuff that was written in the fraternity meeting notes from before these kids got there. So essentially what you're saying is, if I inherited a house from Muhlenberg football players, and they had in the past said not nice things about people, and those things came to light after they had graduated and when I was living in the house, that it would then be incumbent upon me to give up my housing to... I don't, to somehow make up for the fact that someone in the past did something. People have found a way now to manipulate attitudes to the point where they will weaponize something that you had nothing to do with and use it against you. And it's like, and when you call the bullshit on it and you say what you're doing and what you're saying is completely fucking retarded, they'll say, well, you can't say the word retarded. Oh, and also this makes up for, this is because of, this is, but that had nothing to do with any of us. None of us were there. This was before we even got to the college. It's just fucking insane. It's insane. There's no way, I can't even parse it anymore. I can't even work through the logic behind it, because the logic behind it is so horribly flawed that to explain it hurts my brain. That's what I'm going to leave you guys with as you go into your Thursdays and your Fridays and your weekends here. Again, I apologize for the issues with the audio quality at the beginning of the show with the Stifler stuff. I didn't mean to fuck that up. I'm going to go ahead and pump the fresh audio through the mixer for at least the Stifler clip in a second here. And I guess if you made it this far, you dealt with the shit audio for a few minutes, and then you got the good audio afterwards. But have a lovely weekend, and please, like I said again, share this, tell your friends. It's the only way this fucking thing spreads, because I can't afford advertising yet. It is facebook.com/The Savage Crew, Twitter at Mike Montone, Instagram at Gary_Moyler, Moyler, and what's the other one? Oh yeah, thesavagecrew.libsyn, libsyn.com. Thank you.